Bernoulli spherical space colony called Ark.
The Ark was the first space colony created by mankind.
Wasn't that space colony shut down over 50 years ago?
Come out, my servant!
Whoa! So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, there's no other game that we could go back to than Sonic Adventure 2. So ladies and gentlemen, Sonic 3, out in theaters right now. Nothing like a little early holiday treat, am I right? I feel like the Sonic movies in theaters have progressively got better and better. The first one was just a nice redemption arc. Like, hey, they listened to us. But overall, objectively speaking, not crazy about the movie. I really did enjoy Sonic 2, but in particular, it was that ending, that stinger scene right there where we see my man, the myth, the legend, the heartbeat of Sonic himself in shadow. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. And we're hearing that there's a whole Sonic universe being planned for these movies. Is Silver next? I don't know, I hope so, because then we get our Trunks kind of energy involved in this new Sonic verse. I'm just so excited to see what they do. But today, we're celebrating the introduction of Shadow the Hedgehog to the big screen, and that's why we're going back to when Shadow the Hedgehog was first introduced, and really when I came to understand Sonic storytelling, as I'll break down later on in this video. But this is the first time I've gone back to Sonic Adventure 2 since we made that first time playthrough video. And in between then and now, if you watched my Sonic pilgrimage, you've seen I've played a lot, and I mean a lot. Of Sonic. Everything from PO6 to Unleashed, Generations multiple times, and so on. Yeah, we've played a lot of Sonic. So to go back to where I really started to understand and connect with the franchise completely is a special experience. How does it hold up in 2024? And of course, as we're looking back, we're gonna go over all of that and then some. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into nostalgic or retrospective content, consider subscribing. And now we gotta go fast into today's sponsor. Oh, well, hello there. You just caught me playing Castle Duels here on my phone. You know, if you like PvP games and card games and tower defense games and strategy games, and you want them all blended together, you probably want to download this. You've probably seen here on Retro Rebound, we've reviewed each of those types of games, and now it's all coming together in one with this very cute art style, tactical action, and right now they have a Winter Wonderland event going on where you can join in, get new decorative cards. It's really exciting stuff. Ever since I've downloaded it, at first I was like, all right, let's give it a look. Let's see what's going on here. But now I'm like completely addicted to it, and I keep playing it. So much so that I'm playing it literally right now as we're recording this video. You'll see here, like, you can just summon all these monsters on the field, and then you can like merge them together. So there's a lot of options at your fingertips with this game. It's a really good time, just a quick pick up and play. Highly recommend it. There will be a link down below if you want to click and check out Castle Duels. And just know that if you sign up during this Christmas event through my link in the description down below, you're going to get a great welcome bonus to start things off. So that will do it. Thank you again to Castle Duels for sponsoring today's video. And let's just start off with how iconic this game is. Down from its opening all the way to City Escape opening things up, I realized just how much Sonic has grown as a fandom when I was watching a Sonic concert online and the whole crowd was singing City Escape together. Listen. I just thought this was so cool, right? Like, this is what it's all about. That shared experience coming together, and like Sonic Adventure 2 is just full of bops that you just sing to yourself. Like, it's not just a product of the childhood. Like, as someone who got into Sonic very, very late in their life, because I was not into these games when I was younger, to play it and be like, damn, man, this soundtrack absolutely hits that hard rock. It's still so good. But to open up with something like City Escape, this absolute jammer, just pulls you right into the game. But also there's little evolutions I noticed that I wouldn't have appreciated as much in my first playthrough that I do now. So one retrospective we went on to do here on this channel was remembering the Sonic Advance games, and it didn't do very well, which we kind of expected because, well, no one has a lot of reverence for Sonic Advance like maybe Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, where those did much better for us. So we talked about in those games how there is actually a Chow Garden in Sonic Advance 2, and this is a lot of people's favorite Sonic Advance because if it's got a Chow Garden, there's a good chance that the Sonic fandom adores it. But what's really weird is despite how much Sonic fans love the Chow Garden, you can only find it really in this game as well as Sonic Adventure 2, and otherwise it's pretty scarce. They're collectibles at times, that sort of thing exists, but in the terms of the Chow Garden and nurturing them and having them race against each other and fight against each other and taking them to school and all these other life sim things, that really isn't found anywhere except Sonic Adventure 2, where for many it's at its best. Now I'll say what I know people won't agree with, but I think there's a lot of room for evolution here. I think of it a little bit like Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, where that is a game like many a Yakuza game that's defined by its mini games. And one of them drops you on an island and it pretty much turns itself into Animal Crossing. I feel like that's what Sonic Adventure 2 was going for. In the middle of these stages, hey, take care of these cute little creatures, why don't you? Feed them some monsters, feed them some animals, watch them take on their characteristics, watch their actual skills evolve. That sort of stuff is great. But now I think about it in the modern age, if they did a modern Chow Garden, what they could do in a Sonic game with that, if they turn it into its own pretty much separate video game unto itself. Like, why haven't they done that is beyond me. I feel like that would fly off store shelves. But what I also realized is that you could connect via a link cable with Sonic Adventure 2 and take care of your chows on the go. I actually found a really cool commercial that I couldn't believe was actually uploaded online. So I want you to take a look at it and then we'll discuss a little bit more.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the Nintendo GameCube and Sonic Advance on the Game Boy Advance can now connect with this special link cable, so you can port over your Chow from one system to the other with no hassle. Here's how. First hook up the link cable, then drop in your custom Chow, then transport it to your Game Boy Advance. Now keep on playing, customizing, and raising your Chow in ways you can't do on just one system alone. With Game Boy Advance portability, you can raise up your Chow anywhere, anytime. Then transport it back on the Nintendo GameCube to battle your friends head-to-head in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Chow minigames. Did I mention Sonic Advance has sleep mode to protect your game, and there's items you can only get in Sonic Advance to bring back with you to the Nintendo GameCube Battle Arena. Beware of my Chow's awesome power! Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Sonic Advance, and the link cable are each sold separately.
Remember those fun days, like just link cables, everything was kind of like an ecosystem in its own way. Nowadays, like you get a streaming device to go with your high definition console, like a PS Portal to a PS5. But back then, the Game Boy Advance and how it interacted with other platforms was just so cool. Still, I think it's a cool conversation to have of like, what could the Chow Garden become in a 2024 Sonic game? Again, it blows my mind that they continue to not do a full-fledged Chow Garden. Like, imagine a world where it is a full management simulator, like a game within a game. And not only that, but like you can like walk away from this thing and it's kind of like, I think of Type 0, the Final Fantasy game that was on PSP, where you could put characters inside like training facilities, and when you shut off your PSP or put it on sleep mode, things would progress. I could see features like that doing really well with a Chow Garden. But yeah, this is really where it was all born, and I just started to see those connections as I came back, and it was really cool. It was really wholesome, really cute. But still, I'm not as in love with the Chow Garden in its current state like I think many are, because I do think it was like you had to grow up with it. You grew up with it, you're like, oh my god, this game that has all of this also has this, and then it connects with this other game that I already owned. It was really cool in that regard. But for me, stepping in a little bit late, yeah, sorry, I gotta be the party pooper. I gotta burst your bubble, so I'm sorry about that. But while we're on this little nostalgic kick here, I want to talk more about the game, generally speaking, its story, its characters, and sort of what made Shadow so special, so prominent to many of us, because it really is this game that defined it all. Yes, we got many Shadow appearances. We'll talk about all of those in an upcoming video, actually. I'm very excited about it. But really, when it comes to Shadow the Hedgehog, this was the game. This was the moment we all bought into the vision of Shadow, because this was actually supposed to be in Sonic Adventure 2, the finale of the series. It was supposed to be the end. But we'll talk about that. But for now, we didn't get to do this in our first retrospective, but here we are with a complete in-box copy, so smooth. Shout out to my beautiful wife who got this game. Time for the complete in-box experience of Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube. All right, here we go. Beautiful cover art. I still like Sonic Adventure 1's more, but I mean, looking at 2 Battle here on GameCube, this copy is just in pristine condition, but beautiful cover art. Got every character here, Sonic and Shadow back to back. Love it. All the memories flooding back. The back of the box says, back to save the world or conquer it. Mistaken for a dark villainous hedgehog, Sonic must discover who is responsible for his troubles. Choose hero or dark. It's time to save the world or conquer it, with new battle mode for enhanced 2-player action, as well as playing the cute comical Chow Karate. Hell yeah. 300, I wish. 30 action stages with over 150 missions. It also says Sonic Adventure 2 Battle connects to your Nintendo GameCube to your Nintendo Game Boy Advance so that you can take your chows on the go, as we already talked about. Now, on the inside here, you have this beautiful disc art here. I love how they drew out each of the character models with the silver in the background. Really good stuff here. But this manual, we got a chonker here. And yeah, you already know, like, Sonic manuals are typically goated. Look at that. You have the hero side of the story, and you see Sonic's there, and then the dark side of the story, you see Shadow's there. I just, like, this is such a brilliant friggin' opening to the manual itself. Like, I can't, man. Like, the poor printers that they had to use. Look at that. Oh my God. Like, these characters are so sick, man. All of them get their own little bios. They get really sick art. It's so interesting to me that Sonic has never had like a true great RPG. Like, they had the one by BioWare during peak BioWare era, by the way, in 2008. That was Sonic Chronicle Dark Brotherhood. And that game was not great in my opinion, but you just look at these characters and like, they just are begging for a good turn-based RPG. But you see here, the movesets and the unlocks that you get for each of these characters. Tails is in his mech now. He's not just floating around endlessly. We have Knuckles here with Rouge in the background. Just like, look at all the style, all the substance here. We have the battle characters and Amy Rose. We have Metal Sonic here as well. Dark Chow Walker. This dude, he just does not want to be here. Look at that face. Like, I just love it, man. I love this. Chaos is here. Tikal is here. Just lots of great stuff packed within this manual. Just basic controls, breaking those down, starting the game, all that fun stuff here. Now all the fun is fading away. We're actually getting into all the game stuff here. Again, love that they just include character art at like every opportunity they can. You see, like, they're talking about all the different stages you can go through and how Tails and Eggman play a different way from Knuckles and Rouge, and so on. The rules of the action stage, technique points. Oh, look at that. Maria Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik. Just, you know, what's crazy is, as we'll talk about the story, this game ends with like a 5-minute cutscene, which is a lot of screen time for Sonic to just not be playing the game. And I feel like that's something that's been missing, just like these characters talking for a really long period of time. And in the case of this cutscene involving all of these characters, just giving a lot of purpose to Shadow as a character and what exactly he means. There was kart racing in this game. Like, how crazy is that? You can see, like, this basically gave birth to so much of what made Sonic Sonic, right? Because eventually that would become, if you will, Sonic Riders. But yeah, here's the battle mode. There's just a lot here. Treasure hunting race. Just so much content packed into this game. It really was Chow Karate, kart racing. Incredible package full of stuff to do. The Chow Garden was here. So yeah, if you played this as a kid, where for me, I played as a young adult, but as a kid, like, this game just offered you so much. Like, look at this. We're at page 57, and how many new things have I shown you in this? Now we're at the troubleshooting section for the Chow Stadium. Just a lot of content here, as I've already iterated a million times. And then, of course, this is how you set up the Game Boy Advance. We were at the commercial show us that with promotion for Sonic Advance here at the end, and it concludes with all of the characters here. So yeah, I was not fibbing. This here complete box experience is absolutely awesome. Was really pumped to show it off. All right, so now let's talk about the story. You have a hero story, you have a dark story, and then at the end of it all, you'll have the last story when both of those are complete. And the last story is really the most important part of it all. But going through this again, just some of the stages here are so good. Metal Harbor is one of my favorites to this day. City Escape speaks for itself. We opened the video talking about that. Final Rush is incredible. Of course, Radical Highway, top 5 Sonic stage of all time for me. Just love that. So this game has much better stages than I gave it credit for in my initial retrospective, and going back to these and mastering them, that was a little bit of the formula that made me grow a little bit more in love with Sonic Adventure 2 in this second run through. Why is that? Because if you don't know, the Rouge and Knuckles stages are a little more frustrating in my opinion compared to Sonic Adventure 1. So in Sonic Adventure 1, the way the tracker worked is if you were near any of the objects that you were looking for when they spawned, you would actually have a little radar pop up and tell you like, hey, you're close. And in the case of Sonic Adventure 2, similar thing, you're gonna be looking for 3 objects, and these 3 objects are on a much bigger map than Sonic Adventure 1. But the difference was in that if Sonic Adventure 2, if I was near like object number 3, but I still had to find object 1, object 3's little radar wouldn't go up. What I didn't like about that in the first time playthrough, I'm like, this sucks. I'm spending a ridiculous amount of time on, say, Pumpkin Hill or Meteor Herd looking for these objects, and especially Meteor Herd, like, these levels are massive. But the mastery kicks in when you start to learn, like, oh, this is where they typically spawn, and then you kind of run through it again and again. And in a game about time and skill and getting through as fast as you can, I still don't like how it's handled here. Like, I still don't think guidance tools are bad if the spawns are random, but I do get the idea behind there is some mastery here, and these stages sort of embody a little bit of that mindset. Same thing with like Final Rush, being able to try to use the gravity tunnels to your advantage, being able to use some of the big drops to your advantage. They really had the momentum-based gameplay down here where you could take some serious shortcuts that even the developers didn't really expect for you to do here. That's why I loved like Radical Highway with some of the swings you could do and launching yourself off of the pipes and whatnot. You could really catch some speed, and also on top of that, find some shortcuts that made these stages really exciting to explore. But on top of that, first time playthrough versus second time playthrough, you have to ask yourself this question: is vibe worth the headache? So the music, I think, for Sonic Adventure 2 is at its best when you're playing as Knuckles or Rouge or whatever, because you get like Meteor Herd, which is like one of my favorite stage tracks in Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, listen to this. Yeah, there's been so many times I've tried to just phrase what exactly this stage and how the music plays with it, what it does to me, but I think cool is the word I'm just coming down to. It's just cool, man. Like, why is it like this? I don't know. I don't care. It's just cool. But is it worth the headache? I leave that up to you to decide. For me, I'm still not in love with the way they like hide all these like emeralds and whatnot that you're looking for, but you know, when you're listening to that music, you're like, I don't mind listening to Pumpkin Hill for another like 10 minutes, whatever. I don't know where all these are, but whatever. But I know for the Sonic diehards, like, you already know where it all is. And so for me, I'm just like sounding like an idiot, but you gotta understand, like, I'm just trying to be real. Just talk to the Sonic fandom, heart to heart, like, hey, I'm right here with y'all. Not everyone has all of these memorized, and it doesn't make it fun to play if you have to memorize spawns of all these things to like rush a stage. It kind of feels like the stage defeats the purpose of itself, even if mastery is the name of the game. But let's talk about the story, because that's really what we're here for at the end of the day. You know, we meandered through all these various topics on Sonic Adventure 2, but the reason we're really here is, at least in my opinion, the story slapped us upside the head so hard. We're like, whoa, what happened here? Again, this was supposed to be the grand finale for Sonic. No more Sonic games after this. Can you imagine that? Because afterwards, they made tons of Sonic games. Money talks, am I right? But Sonic Adventure 2 was written in a way that felt very final. And for me to talk about it, just a warning, I am going to spoil the entirety of Sonic Adventure 2, in particular, the final scenes of the game. So if you don't want that ruined for you, feel free to tab off, play the game for yourself. It is excellent. But when it comes to the story, this is the part that really shocked me, because Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were really instrumental in introducing to me just how great Sonic storytelling can be. With E102 Gamma and his storyline in Sonic Adventure 1, that really won me over and made me go, okay, there are moments of like heartfelt story here. I felt something there. But Sonic Adventure 2 with Shadow's story and its full circle feeling and the grand sacrifice he makes did a lot for me. So I think that's where we all fell in love with Shadow, right? Because he goes through a lot of the game, as we famously know Shadow here and now, bitter, angry, and confused. You get to the end of the game, he has his answers, and he goes and sacrifices himself for a world that doesn't know him, a world that probably will despise him, and protects them, and they don't even know about it. And to me, there is something very heartbreaking about that form of sacrifice, like the true hero sacrifice. There will be no statue erected of Shadow. there would be none of that. No parade in town. Just, yay, the world continues on as is. And of course, you'll see in the final cutscene, like they're celebrating, they're partying. They know that they were saved, but life will continue on afterwards. It's just the natural work of a hero, and that's the price you pay. But in the case of Shadow, you know, he has such a tragic upbringing. He has this connection to Maria, loses that, and he finally gets the chance to protect something, and he takes that moment. And that's kind of why playing Sonic Adventure 2 always leaves me a little bitter. As much as I love Sonic nowadays, and I'm glad I had that opportunity to figure him out, at this point, modern Sonic and what the various stories have done really undermine the impact that Sonic Adventure 2 has. If you looked at this in a bubble, if it was just the classic Sonic games on Genesis 1 and 2 for Adventure, and they kind of moved on afterwards and didn't come back for a while, and then just made it more meaningful and purposeful every time they showed up, oh my god, Sonic, I think, would be viewed totally differently. Don't get me wrong, I mean, like, I'm clearly a bad businessman because Sonic makes a ton of money, it's more popular than ever, but it also took a while to get there, and it was really thanks to the movies and the comeback the movie had to put it on the map once more. But this form of storytelling in Sonic, even in the modern ones, like Shadow Generations, I think has a great story. And there's a really touching, heartfelt scene involving Maria and involving what happens with Sonic Adventure 2. It's really good. And there's also moments like in Sonic Frontiers where I'll just say, Eggman standing there, reaching out, clutching his hand. That scene, I'm like, dang, I'm feeling bad for Eggman. So Sonic still has these moments in modern games. But I worry that it'll never have the punch that Sonic Adventure 2 has, because Shadow's supposed to be dead. Let's be frank. Shadow's supposed to be a dead man, but he's not, because the series got so popular and they had to hang on to him alongside every other side character, you know, Tails, Knuckles, Silver, Espio, all these characters that just gradually get thrown in, and now it's a massive cast, and that's great in its own way, but you lose some of the impact of the stories, because I don't know if we're ever going to get a Sonic game where someone sacrifices themselves and dies at the end of it all. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to have that moment. And I hope we do, because Sonic storytelling is maturing. And I know the comics are great. I've only read a few issues of them. And I know, of course, the story games are great, but that level of tragedy, of sacrifice, really hasn't been captured again since Shadow, right? And what's happened is, as time has gone on, because this character hasn't been evolved upon as often as it should have been outside of Shadow Generations, since he got brought back, it feels like we're just retreading old ground of Maria and, you know, where's that damn Chaos Emerald? And just edgy McEdge. That's all we really get with Shadow often. And so I just feel like going back to this game, it is amazing, but it's a little bittersweet because you're like, Sonic storytelling, it's there, it's getting there, but it's still not to this moment here where it's got what I call conviction. Like, it's fearless. It's not worrying about, oh, well, if we kill off Shadow, we can't use him in the next marketing campaign, or we'll have to find a way to bring him back. And I guess in fiction, truly no one's ever dead. There's always a way to bring them back. I'm looking at you, MCU, with Mr. Tony Stark, but hey, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm actually very excited for Doomsday and all that stuff. But my point being, ladies and gentlemen, is that storytelling with conviction is really important. Sonic Adventure 2 is actually a great example of it. And I feel like modern Sonic games are missing some of that. You'll occasionally get the side characters that have a little more impact, a little more meaning, but again, even in like Frontiers, without spoiling, I just feel like pulling the punch is just a little bit compared to Sonic Adventure 2. And the reason I go on this whole tangent, I apologize if it's coming across very ranty, but the reason I do is, to me, it's so important that they do this sort of storytelling, because that's why we're here, right? Like, that's why we're excited about Sonic to this day. That's why we're excited about Shadow being in theaters, because we drew an attachment to him with this game. It was such an important video game, right? Just the story and the evolution of Sonic and what he could do within his own medium. So I know for many people, especially those who don't play Sonic games, they're like, what's this guy talking about? Like, Sonic stories, like, is it really that good? But sincerely, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 is a great package story. Like, it really is. It's not gonna be your best narrative. Like, for me, my favorite story of all time is Knights of the Old Republic, it's Death Note. It's not on that level, but it has heart. It has soul to it. And it has the conviction to make strong, tough decisions that they're not afraid of the business realities of that tough decision, because a lot comes out of that. So I hope that we start to get back to that form of Sonic storytelling. Watch in Sonic 3, Shadow will die or something like that. And I'm sitting here just sounding like a fool for like 10 minutes straight. But hey, that'd be great. I don't know. Haven't seen the movie yet. because we record these types of things in advance. But nonetheless, just wanted to talk about Sonic Adventure 2 in 2024. Still a special game, still absolutely worth the playthrough, still feels pretty good to play, although I prefer Adventure 1 stages and stuff, because especially sometimes on stages, like, even though it's one of my favorites in Final Rush, like, the gravity tunnels and wells can sometimes like work backwards with what direction you're holding the thumbstick, and so you'll just like drop into the middle of outer space and find that a little frustrating. But otherwise, man, what a game, what a time, what a great time to be a Sonic fan. I'm excited to see some Sonic 3 in theaters. So if you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts down below. If you've been playing some Sonic Adventure 2, let me know your thoughts down below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. And with that, I'll catch you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.